Shalom, Kol Haloyim, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Racha, Kudash, and Shan Yukubad, Akadwala Rukwab, Zakwanyam Nawa, Wa Shalayakim Nawa. That's the belongers to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom, Wabarakim, Labakarim, Shalayasharala. That's peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. I wanted to make a video concerning this article. It was sent to my email. It says, clarified, which government assistance programs are shutting down and what does it mean? And the reason why I'm bringing this out is because these government assisted programs are basically gifts, and they're primarily given to our people because, of course, we're put in a situation, in a predicament where we need it. And our people, they rely on it, and nothing is wrong with that. But when you get to the point where you put your whole heart and soul into believing that these gifts or these supplemental programs from the government are your way out and your only hope, well, now you're looking at Esau, Edom, and his government as your God, and you're idolizing Esau, Edom. And of course, that's against the scriptures, and we're going to get a few of those. But first, man, Salakia, I wanted to just bring out what these programs are that are being cut off. And really, the first one is kind of being added. So it's the student loan payment pause. It says, since C-19 crisis began, borrowers with student debt have enjoyed making no payments and also accruing zero interest on their balances. From October 2023, we're in that right now, that would no longer be the case. In September, interest was added onto student loan balances, and from October 1st, borrowers will begin again to make payments. The average monthly payment sits at between $200 and $300, but will likely increase. And that's going to be a huge burden to a lot of people. Basically just getting a whole car note added to your monthly expenses when it's been gone for the past 3 years, ever since 2020. And mine are kicking back in as well. So I'm definitely well aware of this. But for a lot of people, they can't afford that. They can't afford that. This one says child care stabilization funds. The government liberated around $50 billion dedicated to child care during the pandemic, helping child care providers bounce back. And that costs a lot of money, just daycare in general. It's a lot of money. It says providers were entitled to spend the money on buying personal protective equipment, paying employees, and making rent payments. On September 30th, many of those funds are set to expire. This could leave 70,000 child care providers vulnerable to closure. Man. And now you know how economics work when you have a lot of places. I'll just put it like this. The more supply decreases, demand increases. So if you have a whole bunch of child care providers, places shutting down, then that means you only have a few to choose from. Well, they can increase the charges, increase the price, because, hey, you don't have any other option. There's only one in your area that's close to your son's or your daughter's school, and that's what you got to take them. Well, you got to go with whatever price they bump it up to. But a lot are going to shut down. The third one says food stamp work requirement. Before the pandemic, able-bodied adults up to 49 years old were required to work at least 20 hours a week in order to receive food stamps. During the pandemic, this requirement was waived. However, now it is back again and is actually expanded to include adults up to 54 years old. This has the potential to impact around 500,000 of the poorest Americans and may cut them off from SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Now you're required to work at least 20 hours in order to receive SNAP. That's coming back. And it's hard for a lot of people to get jobs. The last one is continuous Medicaid. Medicaid enrollment is also changing this fall, with some states already changing regulations. Now states will be able to disenroll people from Medicaid if they are no longer deemed eligible or if they fail to complete the enrollment process. Worryingly, around 65% of people were unaware that states could now make such changes, according to a KFF study. This fall, look out for these changes and begin to plan ahead how finances may change when the effects of these programs may change. So we have a lot going on, including people's pockets about to be really affected. Student loan payment pause now coming back. Child care stabilization funds being taken away. Food stamp work requirement being brought back, and continuous Medicaid being taken away. A lot of our people are going to be affected by these things, especially because we're the main ones, I'll say probably outside of student loans, that lean on these things. Now, the first precept I want to go to is Isaiah 30, verse 1, because like I mentioned before, we're not to put our whole heart and soul into these programs. If you are on it, like as an example, if you're on SNAP, then cool. Take advantage of it. Use it. Absolutely nothing is wrong with you having it, especially if you need it. Or if you're YIQWOB, then YIQWOB. It doesn't matter. But don't rely on it and put your whole heart into it and feel as if this is your only way out. This is the only way that you'll be able to survive, especially in these end days. That's the wrong mindset. So Isaiah 30 verse 1 says, "Woe to the rebellious children." And as a matter of fact, the title says, "Judah warned against Egyptian alliance." And remember, in these days, Egypt is a spiritual name for America. That's one of the code names for America. So we're not to be, or to have any alliance. We're not to be allied with this place. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh." Meaning you put your strength and your trust in the government and Esau, Edom, the powers that be that are ruling America. To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, meaning what Egypt or America can provide for you, the shelter it brings, the food that it helps you to get, the what's a good word as well? I just had it. It was on the tip of my tongue. The nourishment overall that it allows you to have. Verse 3 says, "Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." That's going to be the case because in these end days, when everything is gone and when you have to fully 100% rely on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, you're going to be confused because you weren't doing these things before. The process of having faith and being able to stand strong in the time of Jacob's trouble starts right now. That spiritual preparation, meaning you prepping your mind, begins right now. Because one day SNAP will just officially, it will be gone. Everything. All these government assistance programs, even your job where you have so much security. You've been there for 15, 20 years. Everything's going to be gone. We're talking about not just an economic collapse, but the worst time that the world has ever seen. You will have to 100% rely only on your faith, and that's it. And we're looking forward to it. If you're in the right spirit, if you're in the right mindset, you should be looking forward to that day when you can just rely on your faith, and that's it. Just keep it pushing, keep walking, and believing in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. I want to jump over to the book of Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 7. It says, "Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart." A gift destroyeth the heart. That's all it is. Because remember, if you're really in the know, then the C-19, it was planned. And that's why you hear bros calling it a plandemic. I mean, you can literally go on Google and you can look up and find the patent for the C-19. It's there. It's readily available on the internet. This is something that Esau Edom was planning. It wasn't a mistake that this disease is out here, and it's not a mistake that it's coming back. And the reason why I'm saying all that is because when you read this verse in the NLT, it says, extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. All that happened was C-19 hit, and they gave you stimulus check, and they give you all these different things, different government assistance programs helping you out, the child care tax credit, all these things to make you rely on them, to make it seem like, look what we're doing for you, look what we can do for you. And then people's minds get programmed to keep relying on Egypt, to keep relying on America. But then it corrupts their heart. That bribe corrupts their heart. You see, that's what we mean when we bring up order out of chaos. It's an ancient philosophy. All Esau Edom is doing is renewing it, bringing it back. I want to end off with Psalm 121. We read this on certain high holy days, or maybe just the Sabbath service in general. I'll read the whole thing because it's relevant to not only this article, but the times that we're coming into. And it's comforting. So the title says, The Lord, the Keeper of Yasharallah. Psalm 121, verse 1, a song of decrees, a song of degrees. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. So the point is that we should always and only be relying on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, trusting and having faith that he's the one that's going to be protecting us in these end days. He's the one that's going to be providing for us and giving us shelter. He's the one that's going to be giving us our daily bread. Just as easy as he's able to give us our daily bread right now, before all hell is breaking loose, when we're just living our so-called normal day-to-day lives, it's going to be just as easy for him to provide for us and feed us and clothe us and give us shelter during the time of Jacob's trouble. So I wanted to bring this out once again because it's relevant to this article and the times ahead. I pray that this video was edifying to the elect. Kol Haloyim, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kodash, the belongers to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.